Hi, all. Welcome back to another Basic Blasters. We're going to be blasting some more information down your throat because today we're talking about the Gorger Mawpack, the guys who want to shove the most meat down their throat day in and day out. But before we get started, I just want to make sure I say it in the beginning before I get. Please be a hero. Don't be a chaff. Like and subscribe. Add some comments down below. We got art pictures up on the screen if you want that for one of the future videos. Send your art. I love looking out there and stuff like that. But to introduce everyone again, in case you don't know us, first video, my name's Kyle Knapp, also known as the Great White Nope. Next, we have Mike.
Hey, that's me. Armor Enthusiast 7.
And we got Peter.
The Saint 16.
So there we go. I'll be frank with you guys. I don't play this team a lot, right? So, uh, what are they about?
These are brawlers. These are your boys. If you like to chuck dice, move into things and roll dice into stuff, this is a dream come true. They like to chew, they like to mow, and they like to party and have a great time.
Move fast, hit hard.
What they don't like is anything that's shiny. They're anti anything that looks useful to pick
Good
up
to know
off the
they made
battlefield.
barracudas. I'm unsure because I don't think
Yeah.
they like shiny either. But
Also, Kyle, your picture looks really nice. Look at those fun
oh,
little gorgers in there.
Fantastic.
thank you, thank you. I actually painted this for someone else on our team when we split the Wilder Core versus Small Pack box. He wanted that strong desert theme, so put him in the desert. Added all those shiny gore effects to it because I mean they're eating stuff. Might as well show it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. They didn't bring a knife and fork. They weren't trained in proper table etiquette. So you get a little
they
messy
did bring an
sometimes.
axe though.
This is true. Hey, get it, saw it up.
So let's get into this. Tell me about the background. Tell me about the legends of these guys.
Yeah, these guys are pretty neat. I like them a lot. They are cursed by the gulping god, the ogre god. They have the empty belly curse, which means that no matter what they eat, no matter how much they eat, they'll never be sated. It tastes nasty as soon as it hits their lips. They got a nice, beautiful fillet, a little Oscar action going on it, right? Doesn't taste good at all, not even a tiny little bit. So that drives them crazy, drives them absolutely nuts, as I think one would be want to do. So they do all kinds of stuff to try to alleviate the just like pangs of hunger that they get, and that's why you see them with all those like bones and stuff like that sticking in their skin. They do that just to alleviate that hunger for even a short period of time. They're kind of wacky too. Like they're very bestial in their lore and stuff like that. They don't really think real good. They don't think good, and so they see these big open mouths in the ground and they go, they're slightly intelligent. They go, well, I've got a big mouth and that's a bigger mouth. I should put some stuff in there. So like the clawbacks are kind of in charge, and I think there's some level of driving force where they're like, hey, maybe we should feed that guy, but they're hoping that being able to put food into the maw pits that have popped up all over the Narwood, that they can cure themselves of the empty belly curse, finally satiate the gulping god, and be able to taste, like it's like the Pirates of the Caribbean, the first one, Curse of the Black Pearl. Is like, I just want to taste an apple again, man. Just everything tastes bad. um, it's kind of cool though. Like they tied butchers into them. Like butchers are kind of like in charge. They'll like feed them and try to facilitate like them doing good gorger stuff. And the butchers kind of have this intent that like if they open up enough maw pits all over the Narwood, then the whole thing will just get eaten, and that'll make the gulping god happy. There's kind of like a sad bit of the lore too, where the butchers are like, yeah, I don't know how much they shove into those pits. They're not getting healed. They're not going to be cured of the curse. They're just screwed forever. But they don't need to know that.
I
They're
mean, it's kind of like old school, like leper colonies. They felt bad for them. They tried their best, but at the end of the day, they're like, it's kind of done for, bro. There's only so much I can do.
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, and that transitions nicely for throwing arms and legs into pits, Kyle. Well done with the leopard, right? What a great
I was,
transition.
I was going for it. We got pirates and lepers today. Good to know. But
And they wait, real quick, just the cave
yeah,
hollers too. Like they kind of see him as like because they're the ones like the one that's like screaming like with its arms out. They kind of see that as like the most pure representation of the gulping god. And although like almost like a foreboding, they're like, this is what like the perfect version is, but that guy's out of his mind. That's actually not a good thing. Like we love it, he's into it. It's just not for me.
Oh man. But I mean, let's go talk about how do these guys play. We kind of mentioned before they're bruisers. Pete, talk about what's cool about these guys, what stinks about these guys, and of course, what's the vibe?
Well, so pros, right, is these guys are aggressive and you should play them like that, right? Because they like to smash things. Um, the thing that kind of goes along with that too is the abilities help them do that, and we'll kind of get into that there too. What helps them smash is they're fast, so that's good because you need to get them in action as fast as you can to make up for the fact that you have so few models on the board. Um, to help along with that, survivability, they got lots of wounds. I think what the average is right around 30, which you'll see
Yeah,
that.
we had to literally extend the chart for this team because
Right.
it didn't go to
To
30.
add
Right.
extra
We
spots. so
had
that
extra
people-
numbers.
Right. So now it's not all good, and some of that I've already kind of mentioned is you got 5 guys on the board, right? That is not a lot of models, right? So you again going about the hyper aggressive play style of these guys. Another thing you got going against you, other than your leader, they all have the beast rune mark.
For
Uh,
those watching, the reason that's not good is beasts can't carry treasure. So if you're playing treasure missions, only one
Well,
guy can normally hold treasure is a little risky.
and
they
and
also
we'll see
can't
there's
open
some
doors. That's the other
right.
thing
Right.
they can't do. Those
Can't
doors,
open
despite
doors.
having opposable thumbs, impossible to do.
They
But what
just
if the door looked like a mouth? That's my question.
That's
Could
it.
it open it?
That's a discussion to have with your opponent. I think during the
that's a
game.
deeper question there, Kyle. And what I see very punchable, I'm going to take that is these guys are pretty easy to wound because if you
You
look
got
at
it,
the
Pete.
average toughness, it's 3, which means pretty much everybody is going like, yeah, I can at least do a 4 up on this. Unless you're, goblins and you're still hitting on 5s, but we're not talking about that. So overall vibes, right, is like it's fun to play these guys. You're going to that hyper aggressive play style. You can get really into it and just enjoy that style play. So it's very just hunt down, kill the opponent because that's what you need to do to level the playing field. Standing and brawling, like they like getting in the fight, so that's great. And there's no plan B because that is how you play these guys. So talking about average warband size, again, if you're playing pure gorgers, you're looking at the 5, and if you're not doing pure gorgers, it's not getting a whole lot bigger than that. You can hike it up a little bit depending on how creative you're getting,
Yeah,
but
for those watching, we forgot to move the circle for team
yeah,
average
It
down to
wasn't.
5.
It
not
wasn't a
11.
forget. It was a joke. It was last time we
Oh.
did this. It was Gorgers, and no, it wasn't. I forgot.
I thought you were going to say they're like extra chunky boys, so they should count as 2. But
Exactly. Yeah. No,
we'll
but
go
it
with
should be
that.
at
We'll go with
5.
that. It should be 5.
So big summary here is they are fast, they hit hard, they got a lot of wounds, but they are soft, right? So prolonged combat can go bad for you, right? So
What's crazy about those wounds, by the way? You have 5 models of 30 wounds. It's 150 wounds. I
Just
could
a
have 10
casual 150.
I could have 10 models and 10 wounds, and I'm still
Yep.
50% less. So like
It's
they're
wild.
chunky boys.
right. And that's not even saying the clawback's got 35. So
Yeah,
technically,
bonus
Oh,
you're
5,
getting a little
baby.
bit more in there,
155.
right?
But
Right.
we're gonna get at that in a minute, right? Like clearly we've got the vibes, and how do we make these vibes show on the table? As I don't play this team that much, so whoever wants to take this away, talk to me about them.
I can kick it off. On the left side here, I put a fun little flow chart in for how to determine how to use your abilities. So it starts your question when you're getting to start your round and you've got your ability dice. Ask yourself, do I need to grab treasure this round? If yes, then we're going to go for the double glimmer of consciousness. What that does is it essentially allows you to use a double, and any of the models that have the beast rune mark can get rid of the beast rune mark for the turn. Hooray! Open doors. Actually, it doesn't say they can open doors. It doesn't. Oh no, you can. You just get rid of it. Yeah, it just goes away. So, but only for that round. So at the end of the round, if you're like scoring with the treasure and stuff like that, you can score by holding it. But then you forget what you're doing. You go, what? What's this here? And then you drop it on the ground. So it lets you carry the treasure for 1 round with 1 model. So super.
Second brain cell activated. We could do this, boys.
And then turns back off again. It's limited power. It's rolling blackouts of brain cell use.
I always
Um,
take it as the clawback just smacks him upside the head. And he's like, "Oh yeah, 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 over there, I can carry
Right.
that." And then he gets over there. He's like, "Why did I come over here?"
I
yeah,
can't eat
that's
this.
I need constant reinforcement of these things. But yeah, that's the only way you're really going to have a chance in treasure missions, unless you can smash through everything fast enough. So it's a really good ability. We like that one a lot. After you've decided, if you don't need treasure, though, if your answer is no, I do not need to carry treasure, we move down to the next part of the flow chart, which is, am I in combat yet? If you answer yes, start swinging away, have at. If you answer no, we're going to look up at bounding leaps real quick. Double heart, because it is just one of the most crucial things for this warband to have. It's
So
a
good.
charge-like ability. It's just you get to use a double, and then is it a 6-inch? Yeah, this one, pick a fighter within 6 inches. You just make your bonus move action 6 inches. So if you got someone within 6 inches, you use the double. You get 2 swings at him. Whack whack! Hooray! That's what we're here to do. Really, really good, and it just that action economy that it gives them really allows those 5 models to not feel like 5 models, right? If you do that 2 times in a turn, it's basically like you got 6. Whoa, 6 whole models worth of extra actions, or well, one extra model. But yeah, it's classic. It's the classic charge ability. It's just great. It's always great, and these guys really, really need it, honestly, so that they can get in there and do the damage without really having to waste actions just shuffling around. So if you are also in combat, there's another ability here that's really, really nice. Only the leader has it though, and it is Unnatural Force. It's another double. Until the end of the fighter's activation, add 1 to the damage points allocated to enemy fighters for each hit and critical hit. So we'll see the stats. Clawback already likes to hit really hard. This just lets it hit even harder. Let's try to chunk through stuff as fast as we can. And
I
then
always love the plus damage abilities, by the way,
Mhm.
because like I'll get a little mathematical here. If you're hitting on threes, which these guys often are, adding damage is usually better than an extra attack
Mhm.
dice. Once you start hitting like fours or fives, usually attack dice mass out. So this
Mhm.
just fits the theme so well of like, I don't need to attack more, I need to attack harder.
Yeah, for sure. No, and it's just, I mean, it's nice to have that flexibility too, right? You can choose between onslaught, or you can choose to add the damage to it, which again, they're both great, and it's about figuring out exactly what the threshold is and when and where you need to utilize both of those ones. There is a bonus part to the flow chart here, which is, am I fighting more than one fighter? If you are fighting more than one fighter, if you're engaged with more than one fighter, there's a happy little quad that we like to use called Starving Rampage. It says that you gain the beast rune mark for the rest of the round. Only matters for the clawback because it's the leader that's the only one that does not have the beast rune mark. But you get to swing at every enemy that's within an inch of you. Just have you just charged into a group of 5 models standing in the middle of the board, milling around, having an ice cream social. Sorry, not for long. I'm just gonna come in here and start whack-a-mole, and really, really good. It's just a quad for you try to get as many bonus attack actions as you can possibly get. What's
Did,
not to love?
do we talk about this in the examples, by the way, the
Yeah.
quad with
Yep.
some funky things? Yeah, we're
Yep.
going to go
Yep.
show you some really cool things you could do with it because I'll tell you, I've been on the receiving end of this. And when we get to these examples, I'm going to show you how bad this could really hurt if you use in the right situations.
Right.
It's so nice when you get a quad within a faction that you're like, oh, I'm not automatically going to rampage because again,
Absolutely.
situational, right? But you'll see, yes, very very nice in the right situations.
Big time.
For these guys, they do have a reaction. Very rarely, it's got an X on here. It's just it doesn't mean there's never a use for it. It's just meaning you're not playing around it most of the time. It's decent. If basically it says if you get targeted by an attack action and they don't crit you, then you just do 6 damage back. If something with like really low attack dice is attacking you and you don't think you're gonna survive, that's a great opportunity. Or both of those, right? Something with low attack dice and it's maybe you're hitting on 5s. That can be a useful way to do it. Also, if you're going to die, it's a potential for it's better than counter most of the time. Like 1 or 2 damage might matter, but it gives you the option to spike for 6 on a miss. So, situate again, as always with the X's, not that there's literally never a
Yeah.
use for it, but it's most of the time we're not going to worry about it.
Because
Um,
unfortunately, with 5 models, you can't always
it-
afford to react, right? You have to be attacking, you gotta
yeah.
dump your dice. But ironically, like to your point, Mike, like those low attack value dice, less likely to crit. Some of the biggest, scariest models in the game usually have a low attack profile and high damage.
Mhm.
So kind of like it makes it so they're hitting on threes anyway and got
Mhm.
super counter. It's
Yeah.
kind of nice.
Kaboom! Right back in your face. Sorry, Vexmore. Um, and if you're playing narrative and you've got like the bonus free reactions, I would change this to probably a
Oh,
heart,
yeah.
because getting it a bunch of free times, yeah, it's pretty nasty if
Big
you
time.
can just do it without wasting those actions for it. So the other ones that I did not cover in here on the first go around were the other little X's. And that triple for agonizing roar. Again, it's just not something we're going to be looking to use all the time. It definitely has utility, but it's just not the main focus of what we want to be doing. Essentially, it's only one of the models has it, the Howler, and says roll a dice for every enemy within 6 inches on a roll of a 4 up until the end of the battle round. That fighter can't make disengage actions. There's times where
It's
you're going to want them to stop them from getting away, but most of the
it's
time,
risky too,
yeah,
right? A
exactly.
50% chance on a triple. I
Yeah,
almost rather just turn that up to a quad if I'm gonna
yep,
like if I
yep.
have the dice.
For sure. Or just onslaught and kill them before they can run away anyway. That's, I mean, you know what can't run? Dead things, not just things that have been
Absolutely true.
agonizingly roared. But yeah, there's going to be times where that's going to matter. You know, when like somebody's trying to charge and like it's like a kill mission or something like that, you don't want stuff to be able to get away from you. You're like, no, I need you to stay here. So please don't leave. Yeah, so it can be definitely used. The other one is a triple that only the Great Club has, the big old beefy boy. Lets them crit on 5-ups for a triple. Sounds really good. Guy's only rolling 2 dice normally, so it's just like onslaught's probably going to get you more damage for less dice that you're putting into it. But again, there's times where it's gonna, maybe you just need to get, two crits through to exactly kill something and win the game. Oh, perfect. Let's just fire up this triple and see how things go. The other part that we got in here is their battle trait, Ravenous. I think this is a typo from from Warfire. Ravenous Gourding. They're really into fall. These guys, they just decorate with a whole bunch of pumpkins.
I thought they were just pretending to be Batman,
That's
Commissioner Gordon. Like we're Gordon. Call Batman. Call the clawbacks. Get him in here.
I love that'd be a fun Batman villain, right?
Yeah.
And it's pretty decent, right? If you're rocking 1 box of Gorgers, it's kind of nice. Let's just, whenever after an enemy fighter has been taken down by a melee attack action made by a friendly fighter with this battle trait, remove D pound damage points allocated to the fighter. I'm pretty sure it's 3. It's just D3.
It's 3. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just free healing, right? And we talked about they don't have a ton of toughness and they want to be fighting, so they're going to take that damage. So and they want to be killing, so that all synergizes really nicely. I'm just passively healing by doing my normal game plan.
Right.
My favorite part about it is they had to specify melee attack profiles as if they had a ranged attack.
Yeah. Well, actually, maybe it's because Rending Bite could hypothetically do it, though, right? You could kill something with a reaction. I think that's the only outlier of not a melee that is possible here, though. Pete, were you going to say something?
No. It's just going off of really what you already said. The thing with the battle trait, right, is we're talking about playing 1 box, right? So this is just a plus. It's a pure plus. It's going to come into play, right? Because you're going to kill things, and at T3 you're going to be taking wounds. So having something small to compensate a little bit in there, it makes a difference. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I wish my model had 1 more wound.
I mean, for 30 wounds, that's 1/10 of your life total. It's not bad. But let's take a look at their life totals. And unless anyone else got something on the Strats, Pete, why do you walk us through? What do these guys look like?
Oh, I love the clawback. I have played the clawback a lot, and I can say I'm a big fan of this guy. 235. This man is rolling 4 dice at strength 5, doing 3/6 damage, and that's nice. Now remember, Unrelenting Force gives him that 4/7 damage profile, right? So being able to lift up and do a little bit more damage there, and there might be times, right, that onslaught's better, but just having that as an option in the right case is great. He really takes full advantage of their abilities. So whether it's that quad and getting those bonus attacks in, or getting the jump in there, or he's already stuck in combat, okay, I'm going to hit a little bit harder. He's fine with all of it across the board. Yes, I will use that ability. Obviously, him not being beast is also helpful. But he's just a great piece. They're all move 5, right? So it's just he wants to get into combat. He wants to start hitting and taking names, right? So he's a great ally piece. Like I'll just say that. But as
Mhm.
far as this, he is the cream of the crop, right? Cave Howler is kind of the second in command in a way. Like Mike said, the picture of the gulping god here. Look at that face, the old six toes. Which yes,
Yeah, the polydactyl, right? It's got
right,
six fingers and six toes on either
right.
foot
With a
slash
If you
hand.
like painting feet, this warband is for you.
And if you don't, probably skip it. It's
yeah.
there's yeah, it's only
But
5 models, but there's bonus toes.
so something nice too about the Cave Howler, right? Is Cave Howler rolling 5 dice is fantastic. Now you're
Mhm.
paying for a little bit, and you don't have that strength 5 like the clawback does. You're at strength 4, but still 5 dice doing 3/6 damage. Very good at hunting things down.
Mhm.
And something I like about the Gorgers, right, is they're very good at hopping across the board and assisting another one, right? So if you get stuck in a combat, you're like, oh, I didn't quite get what I needed out of that fight. This one needs to die. Well, other one can go, well, I'm just going to move and do a double move again, and I'm still going to swing. So Cave Howler can be a great secondary piece of going like, oh, yeah, I'm going to help you, buddy. I'll be right there. Let me help you out. Gorger with Great Club, you're suffering a little bit with only 2 dice, but he's range 2.
Mhm.
So you're getting a little more mileage out of that, and being able to hit somebody and maybe not have to worry about getting hit back twice is always a bonus, right? But he's hitting that strength 6, doing that 4/8 damage profile that I love so much. So yeah, it's great when you can bless this guy, but we're not even talking
Mhm.
about that right
No,
now.
but I
But
think
yeah,
it's a relevant thing to bring up,
It
right?
is
Like he is a
big
number one
time.
target for chucking a blessing, and
yeah,
maybe the howler for that strength too. But going up to
sure.
3 dice on that 6 strength 4/8, and then you can
Hmm.
onslaught for 4 dice when you're doing it, right?
Hmm.
It's just
But not
like
even just
okay,
that, right? You go up to 3 dice, and suddenly that crit triple looks a lot spicier when you're critting on 8 on a 5 plus, right?
Mhm.
You're rolling rolling that higher amount of dice, higher chance for critting. I mean, you get super lucky and just be like, yeah, 1 attack and, crit, 24, and I probably annihilated everything in the game.
Bye. See you later. See you later. Half the game.
Right. And but something to keep in mind too is even if we're talking just purest one box, no blessings, right? The ability to flip a double, move, and then you're attacking twice, right? So
Mhm.
suddenly that two's a 4. So 4 dice at strength 6 doing 4/8 damage. You're gonna put some hurting on things.
Mhm.
And so he's a fun piece. And again, having that 2-inch range comes in handy. Like I think a lot of people underestimate that extra bit of range and being able to kind of space yourself away from your opponent. So that's certainly something to keep in mind there.
I mean,
Um,
it's a 7-inch threat range versus 6,
Yeah.
right? Meaning my model can move and attack at 7 inches versus move and attack at 6. It's a
Right.
much wider area to control on the board
Mhm.
for sure.
right.
And it lets you kind of engage multiple things at once and be able to reach
Yep.
in there, it lets you potentially swing on there. And like with that guy, once he's engaged, you get to onslaught and go up to 3 dice, even if he's not blessed, which is a great time. Yeah.
Mhm.
Again,
Oh,
who
yeah.
does that? He's the I think between that one and the what was the howler, just the
Yeah.
exemplification of like what we want to do here. Chuck a bunch of dice, do some pretty solid damage. Chuck a few less dice, do some really good damage.
Multiple ways to smash. Um,
Exactly.
and then we're kind of left off here with the Gorger and the Gorger with the club, right? So they're kind of your bottom line guys. But the Gorger, I'm a personal big fan of just the plain Gorger there. 4 dice, strength 4, doing 3/5. Just he does just fine. He really does. The club, you're switching in an extra bit of strength there, but you're losing 1 attack dice. But you're going up a crit as well, so you got that 3/6 profile. What's a good thing to note here too, if you're just playing that one box, is if you took one of each model, right, that puts you at what 995.
Mhm.
So there's bits in there. If you want to turn the Gorger with club into a regular Gorger, you can do that, and you're
Mhm.
still right at that sweet 1,000. So I like the fact that they give you a little bit of flexibility there to kind of mess around with the models a little bit, but you can kind of decide which one works best for you. But yeah, neither one of them Perfectly fine profiles, no
It's
problem.
probably like one of my favorite things on this box. They put 5 models that are all somewhat similar, but somehow they're able to kind of clearly define a role. You know,
Mhm.
like that 4-4-3-5, like that is designed to beat up on, a T3 or T4 chaff.
I'm looking at you
Whereas
18 models.
yeah, I mean 5 plus 3 is 8. It's
Come
perfect,
on.
right? Whereas some of the other ones are clearly designed to the point here, like the club. Yeah, I can go after mid range, right? So like it does add that level of tactical play to the
Mhm.
team that you wouldn't think of because
Mhm.
sure I'm going to smash, but I got to smash the right target, right? They all
Mhm.
got a type. Some like them chunky, some like them a little skinnier. They got a type.
Yeah, that's a great point, Kyle. Absolutely.
But how do they play on a mission? I'm so confused, guys. No idea from what you've been telling me this whole time.
Kyle,
How
they're
do you
really
play them?
similar to the you know how you get into your death war bands and you're like, all right, I've
Right.
got all these different like concepts and ideas about how I'm gonna manage the battlefield and control the battlefield. It's exactly the same. You're gonna control the battlefield by killing everything that you see. You're
Oh,
gonna lay
okay.
waste to the landscape. Every mission you play with these guys is a kill mission. It doesn't matter if it's about killing, it's about killing. That's why we're here. That's what we're here to do. You really just want to get in there and blow stuff up. It's not hard to and like Kyle said, there is definitely intentionality behind where you can send things and you can have more success blowing stuff up, which is part of the fun of playing them. It's not all just mindless, thoughtless, but it is very much straightforward. Get in there, roll dice, kill stuff, because that's your key to winning any mission. It's an objective mission. I brought 5 models. You have 9. I only have one way to get more models than you. um, and so using that bounding leaps all the time, getting that charge action so you can get in and do that smashing. It's just if you're not like turn 1, if you can make 3 doubles with 3 models on the board, probably do it. Just woo, let's start partying.
I mean,
But
that's
yeah, you just
5-10 plus 5-15 move on 3 models.
mhm.
Oof.
just
Right.
You'll get there.
just doing laps around the board with each other.
Something to keep in mind too, right, is this warband is very doubles oriented, right?
Mhm.
That's what helps them give that extra bit. But another way to think about that too is that frees up your wild die to kind of either dictate, do I need more leaping this round or do I need initiative? Maybe
Mhm.
I'm already stuck in and this guy's going like, I need to make this triple. You're like, I just need to go first so I can finish off this guy and then I can use the what 1 or 2 doubles I saved to go leap into somewhere else.
Mhm.
So it gives you a subtle way to kind of decide, okay, what's the best use of my dice? And having a warband that's predominantly going like, oh, I'm good with doubles. I mean, that's fine by me. So it creates kind of a weird depth to it where it's nice. I personally like that because it can create momentum based on what you
Mhm.
need that round.
And that was, we weren't planning on it, but we just got one of the classic Merson Cabbage Wild Dice management TED Talks, which is they're great when they come up. But Pete has always been a champion of being, you're always really good at that, Pete, and you're good about sharing that knowledge of the discipline about how and when to use your wild dice and the intentionality of it because it's super important. And like you said in this one, can really change while they look simple in the same way that Kyle said, it's not always that simple. There is some tactical strategy that you are, if you choose so. You don't have to. It's not obligatory, but you can really try to figure out how and where to use those. So yeah, nice. I'm just happy to have the little TED Talk cameo because I always love it when you get into those.
I do what I can.
So yeah, if you can believe it, on objective missions with our 5 models, we're kind of a little bit behind the 8 ball start. We are not in great shape. A little concerning, but the bounding leaps again, just the classic spamming the X button over and over and over again. We're charging onto the objective, and we want to just kill stuff on those objectives. People need to be in a certain place. That's great because that's where we need to be as well. So thank you for coming to my TED Talk on the objective
I
about
mean, the
getting
cool
your
part
spell
is too,
catch.
these are on really big bases,
Mhm.
so it's very hard for your
50.
opponent to stand on an objective and not be near you.
Yeah,
So, like, they
especially with a
can't
great
hide.
club. Get that
Especially
great
if
club
you're
in
a
the
great
center of
club.
an objective. Yeah, you just start helicoptering the club around. And speaking of that, when you get a quad, it's full on party mode. You're just using that starving rampage, and you are bashing everything that you see anywhere near you. It's just it's a really great way to just have your opponent go like Kyle comes in, I got 4 zombies on this objective. I'm gonna control it this round. Whoops, Grey Club just rolled up into the quad. Here he is, starving rampage, and he just blows every single model up on that objective. Right? It can really swing those objective missions, and an objective that maybe looked safe no longer is the case. Right. Pete, you want to hit the treasure missions? It's a
oh boy. So we're hurting in this area. That's just straight up. We've already talked about it. We got a bunch of beasts and your leader, right? So this is where the double glimmer of consciousness really comes into play, and you have to be very creative about when you're using it. Mm-hmm. Now, thankfully, a lot of treasure missions doesn't matter till the end of the game if you're scoring the points. So you might just be like, well, my sole goal here is to just deny my opponent treasure for the first 3 rounds, and then I'll maybe save up a few wild die, so maybe I can pop a couple glimmer of consciousness in the 4th round and steal it. But it's, again, there's ways to mess around with it, but you are playing behind when it comes to treasure missions, and understanding that and then going, okay, how do I best work with that, right? And again, denying your opponent to be able to do it, right? So play what you're good at with Gorgers, which is I'm going to race across and beat the snot out of your treasure carriers. Agonizing Roar, again, kind of, we're talking about these niche areas where these abilities can come in handy. Okay, maybe Cave Howler's like, okay, you guys stay right over here, right? So you can't get away, so that the rest of the Mawpack can go chase down the treasure carriers, right? That's another way you can kind of play around with it. So, yeah, you just have to maximize the fact that you're fast and you can hurt, and play off of that and deny your opponent the ability to do the same.
I think the 2 things to note here too is, 1, remember you can't disengage if you're carrying treasure, right?
Right.
So they move 5 and charge 5. You're going to catch their treasure carrier. It's not getting away from you, right? You lose fly too if you get treasures. It's not like they can fly over an objective. And the other part too, I think to remember, very similar to the objective mission, with those really big base sizes, you essentially could almost like teleport a treasure by using that glimmer of consciousness in the early turn to kind of move in, grab the treasure that might have been in front of somebody, and then drop it behind you. They have to move almost like a full 3-4 inches just to go around your entire model. Then they're going to end up engaged with you anyway.
Exactly.
Right? So,
use that engagement, right? Because it's like, well,
right.
yeah, you got to walk all the way around, and you're using your less efficient movement with a disengage already. And yeah, it just there's some wacky stuff that doesn't always come to mind, I think, when you're using these guys.
Right.
Well, I think I could do kill missions. So far, from what you've taught me, that they're strongly favored. Definitely would not have predicted this the number of times I've just been like, yeah, I'm going to play the pickup model simulator, because that's what happens when you face these guys with a horde army like I tend to do. But strongly favored, right? They've got 5 models to kill, 30 wounds each. Good luck getting through all that, right? Meanwhile, you're way bigger than vast majority of the game. Besides maybe some Stormcast, maybe some ogres, you're just way bigger, right? Plus, you're a lot faster than a Stormcast. You can get in there. You've got bounding leaps to get in, take out the model that you want. You can go and target their smaller chaff models and just gobble them up before trying to go after the big guys. But don't be reckless, right? Sure, you could charge into a group of models, but that means that if you don't kill enough of them, then you're going to be hit by like 6 models back. And at some point, that's a lot of dice coming back in the other direction, right? Still going to hurt. My favorite part is like Starving Rampage, right? This lets you just once again kind of cheat that action economy where you have 5 models, but when you're getting 1, 2, 3, 4 extra attack actions because they're all engaged with you, it now feels like you're playing 6, maybe even 7 models if you get enough of those extra actions. But generally speaking, play to your strengths. Your strengths is to kill. Don't outkill your win con. I know that's a very strange thing to say here, but this is where we like really tell people like play to the mission, because like a mission might be total wounds killed throughout the whole game. Yeah, kill away as much as you want, right? But then the mission might be number of models killed in that turn. If you kill all their chaff and they have nothing left to kill, and they only have like one gigantic chimera left, and you're like, oh no, this chimera is going to kill 3 of my gorges over the next 3 turns and lose, right? So kill, but check the mission, make sure you're killing the right amount as you're going through the game.
Something to keep in mind too, right, is because these guys are so fast, right? Say you're playing an opponent that has a big Titan piece, but that Titan piece isn't the fastest thing on the board. You can avoid it, right? Like you don't have to smash their biggest target. Smash the secondary targets. Smash the chaff. This is where thinking about what targets you're going after, right? Just because you're smash and you want to get in the fight, you don't want to be in prolonged fights though, because suddenly those 30 wounds disappear a lot faster than you think they're going to. So being able to be like, yeah, biggest thing on the board, nah, I'm going to go pick on this guy over here. By the way, it's a double, so 12 inches. See you later. Good luck catching me. Gotcha. So again, think about what you're trying to pick the fights with, because you got to be smart about getting the kills.
Yep, for sure.
I mean, deployments, though. I mean, this has got to be obvious, right, Mike? How are we deploying these guys?
If you get to play outside of the deployment, that's great. That's what you want. You want to be on top of things as soon as possible. One of the things that I don't think people consider sometimes is when you're like, oh, sweet, I can deploy on top of this cool rope bridge. Whoa. One thing with these guys is that bounding leaps, you have to be within 6 inches to use it right away. Mm-hmm. So don't accidentally put yourself outside, classic Pythagorean theorem. Don't put yourself outside of 6 inches by accidentally putting yourself up too high. It's fun. It's great to use the terrain, but you don't want to basically blow a whole action just by looking cool and being up. Maybe you do. Maybe you want to put them up high and look good, but just know that there are times when it's going to be disruptive, and kind of like you guys are both saying, making sure that at deployment, figuring out what the targets are going to be. So you're aim your shots, right? There's no subtlety to this. You can't trick somebody most of the time with these guys. They'd be like, oh, you charge and smash? Okay, all right. I had a feeling you might be going for that. One of the things that I know I'm completely biased in this. I used to play a ton of really small number war bands, like 6-model war bands and stuff like that. Personally, I think it helped me become a much better player just because I had to identify these priority targets. Again, I know I put this in the deployment section, but it kind of just applies more broadly as well, where you have to have the tightness of action economy, like Pizza with the wild dice and stuff like that too, right? You really learn. It's very clear when you've made a mistake. It's very obvious because you're like, this is not where I wanted to be. And it makes it easier to recognize when you have to take gambles and stuff like that. And so being able to pick those priority targets, the game is much more simplified. So you can see all of the lines that are kind of possible to you as you're playing throughout the game. And again, it starts at deployment. As soon as you're on the board, that's where we're getting to make
the one thing I want to bring about deployment you mentioned earlier. So remember the deployment rules is the first models that go into deployment need to be fit as much as they can in deployment. Because these bases are so big, you're more likely that your second model, because remember, like you got doing 3 groups, you have 1, 2, and 2. In those 2 model groups, you're probably not going to fit the second base fully in your deployment, which means you're probably going to end up much closer to the enemy than they're going to realize, because by the sheer size of your models, it forces you out of the deployment zone. Even though you have to be as close as possible to it, it still will push you quite a bit out of it. And with those, 2-3 inch wide bases, I mean that's a difference, right? That's a difference of half a move right there, just getting closer to the initial deployment.
Yeah, and that's a huge tip, because I don't think a lot of players know that, right? Like, depending on how you place that first model in your deployment, that it really changes where you're putting the other ones. So definitely take full advantage of that with this warband.
You should, and if you want to learn more about it, I think it's our second ever episode that we did. We talked about deployments. We broke them all the way down, these little tricks and stuff like that are not super intuitive right away. The other one is with these guys, because they're so big, guess what else it blocks? It blocks you off. Make sure that you haven't accidentally put one in front when you've got a 2 in one of your two model deployments that you'll start with. Don't accidentally block yourself to try to go somewhere where you maybe actually wanted to wait a little bit later in the turn to charge into that group and start cracking those skulls, right? So it seems simple with only 5 models, but there's actually a lot to consider in there. Pete, do you have any tips on how to play the Gorgers? Any good tips that you can think of that are on the screen?
I feel like we've been saying it a lot, but like if you haven't noticed, bounding leaps has literally been on like every paragraph of this PowerPoint, and there is a reason for that, right? Bounding leaps is your best friend. You're going to use this ability a lot.
ABB, always be bounding.
Always, baby.
Always be bounding, right? And again, it's priority. We've kind of talked about all these things, right? Prioritize what you're trying to kill, right? You need to level the playing field as much as possible as early in game as you can, because otherwise it can roll away from you. But knowing what targets you're got a good chance of killing, because I mean, dice end of the day are going to do what they want, right? You can't stop from whiffing a roll every once in a while, but you can have a higher chance of going like, got a pretty good possibility of killing this target versus prolonged combat for 2-3 rounds, right? So just think about what should be the priority. I mean, we keep saying that, and we're going to keep saying it because that's what you need to do to play these guys well, right? I like what Mike said, because Mike is notorious for playing those small war bands. Like, you learn to prioritize what you're trying to do on the board, and it's just going to make you a better player.
And you can extrapolate that out, right? You take it from like, oh, I know what to do with 5 models now. Well, now that I've got 9 models, I'm doing the same thought process, but now I can, have more options available to me, and I'm less reliant on the dice to do what I needed it to do. One of the fun things that I added in here was just that inspiring presence feels kind of weird to use with these guys, but like if you've got a big tree that you need to fell in a hurry, don't be afraid to use it. Clawback goes first. Woo! Smash in, try to do some damage, and then let your Great Club buddy come by, or let your Howler buddy come by, right? We get those tag teams going on so that you can not be taking that damage back, because if you can remove the really big damaging pieces from your opponent's warband early, what's their plan? How are you getting through 150 wounds? Like Kyle said, what are you supposed to do? Okay, 3-3-1-3. You got a lot of dice to roll before one of my guys goes down.
In case you've never used Inspiring Presence, because a lot of people forget this is a thing. This is a triple ability. It's the general ability. After someone with a hero wound mark goes, you can pick an ally, I believe within 6 inches, right? To then go next. So skipping your opponent's turn. So that's how that's working in terms of you attack, skip your opponent, attack again.
You want to do tactics too?
Yeah, sure. So again, rushing opponents' reinforcement deployments and hoping for a quad is absolutely a strategy. Absolutely.
You have a picture of this, right, Mike, on one of the slides?
It's one of the
trust me, this is great. Yeah.
Yeah, because again, like a lot of missions, know where your opponent has the ability to pop out of. Because some missions, right, it's the whole stretch of one side of the board. That's kind of hard, right? But other ones, it's like, this little 3-inch bubble right here is where they're coming out. So I'm going to just stick my claw back right there, and I'll see you next round. We'll see what happens. And again, if you saved a couple of wild dice there, who knows what could happen, right? Again, keep talking about it. Always be pounding, right? You need to attack things. You have to. That's how this warband works. And then what do you got here? Check minimum number of required dice versus opponent's remaining wounds.
Hyper-complicated after all the streamline.
If you want to, this is a way complicated way to say, okay, if you're hitting on 3s, use Unnatural Force. If you're not hitting on 3s, use Onslaught. That's all it says.
Essentially,
it's a mathematical thing. If you want to message me, I could show you the math why it works that way, but that's essentially what it means. So no other explanation.
Takes all types of players.
Let's go through some examples. And what do I do on a treasure mission, Mike?
This example is called "Oh Great Goblin God, no, please no, not a treasure mission." So we're in a treasure mission here. Just for this example, let's say that we rolled a triple and a double, or maybe we rolled 2 doubles and upgraded to a triple here. So as you can see, there's 2 treasures just hanging out in the middle of the board there. We're playing, this is us versus our buddy that we split the hunter and hunted box with, and the Wilder Core hunters are out here. That dog's coming in looking menacing. The leader's out there. He's got an axe. That doesn't seem good for my flesh. And then there's a nice big long spear. So, we want to try to get these as quickly as possible and prevent our opponent from getting them, right? We need to deny these treasures. So we've got our clawback, our leader, and then we've got the Gorger with a Great Club hanging out over there too. So first off, it's super easy. Clawback can carry treasure and hold on to it for the entire game if it doesn't die. So let's have the clawback go first. Move over and pick up one of the treasures. If you want, you can engage after that, maybe swing into the dog, try to kill it. But during the leader's turn, during the clawback's turn, go ahead and pop that Inspiring Presence, and then let's let our buddy go next. Let's have our big old club come on in, and then have him activate, and then use the double to go and pick up the shiny on the ground, go and scoop it up. And then, you do kind of have an option here. You can, if you want to move in and try to start smashing, you can. With this one, he's only got 2 dice. He's not going to be able to onslaught. He's not going to be able to use bounding leaps in this one because he has to use that double to pick up the treasure. So maybe don't go in there. Get in a spot where you'll be in range of bounding leaps for next turn. So you're not taking damage that you're not really going to be able to do anything about, or you're not taking unnecessary damage, right? Like if you go in there, they just get the double swing on you. We're going first here. We're taking all these treasures, and all they can do at that point is try to kill you back. They have to adopt the Gorger mentality. So, this lets us get 2 treasures. If they're scoring in the round, guess what? We're in control of those 2 treasures. At the end of the round, you get to choose where you drop the treasure, right? So it's within an inch. Try to put it as far away in the least convenient way, if possible, from your opponent to try to pick it up with the great club as well. So again, it seems that this is, I think, a great example of like how there is a lot more layered strategy and tactical acumen that can be applied to these guys. Even though go fast, do smash is a really fun play style and your main move.
The only thing I want to note here is one, when you pick up treasure, it's anywhere along your movement, right?
Mhm.
So you don't have to move to the edge of the treasure, pick it up, and then your movement stops, right? Because the second you're
Mhm.
holding treasure, however much you moved, your movement goes down 2. So they move 5. If you move 3 just to the edge of it, it drops down to 3 and you're no longer able to move. However,
Mhm.
you can move, say, 5, use that 2-inch base, have that treasure within 1 inch of the back of your base, then say you're picking up the treasure to get your full 5-inch move at that
Mhm.
point. So knowing
Exactly.
the rules of movement and how treasure is picked up is really important for this team to maximize, can I get in and do that damage?
Mhm.
And something to keep in mind too is your clawback, right? Again, no beast remark. Bounding leaps is a free move,
Mhm.
right? So if you got double and I'm gonna grab a treasure and I'm going to remove a target this turn.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Also, yeah, that's I didn't even think of that one in this, Pete, but absolutely, you get
Yep.
bounding leaps and probably be in range of the dog and the leader. 2 swings, got a chance to at least bring one of them down, right? That's a spice. Look at this. Look at this. That's why we love having Pete on. He thinks of the tech, the secret tech.
Keep
But
that
I've been
secret
waiting
sauce.
for this next example this whole time. And this is I'm
From
not near
personal
and dear to my
experience
heart
there, Kyle.
because I have gone through this experience so many times and I hate it every time, but it's so good. So remember we talked about deployment rules earlier.
Hold on, Kyle. Before you go into it, I got it.
Yeah.
Let me announce the official name for any good burger fans out there. This is Welcome to Norwood, home of the Norwood. Can I cave your skulls in? Go
Now I
on.
need gorgers with orange sodas in their hand, just like going around
Who
cards
loves orange soda?
soda.
Kate Howler loves orange soda.
But essentially the way this works is this, right? We talked about like round 2 deployments. So knowing where your opponent comes in, right? The deployment rules state you need to deploy in the deployment area, and if you can't, as near as possible to that deployment area. So you literally, in this corner deployment, round 1, take that cave howler, ram it all the way into that corner deployment. Then your opponent has absolutely no choice except to deploy within 1 inch touching your base because that is the closest to that deployment area. And then, just then, if you get a quad, you could start off and just they deploy and you attack the entire deployment. Even if your opponent goes first, they only get to move 1 model out, and you still get to attack everyone else with the quad 1 time, and then you get 2 attacks on top of that. The number of times that I've deployed like 4 zombies, someone comes in and goes, "Okay, wipe out your entire deployment of zombies." I'm like, "Yep, that's that."
Cool. That was fun.
I want
Thanks.
to
I
talk
love
about
this
gaining
game.
activation and remove your opponent's activations. That's a great way to do it.
And there's flexibility to that too, right? In this example here, because the way that the quad works, everything you attack everything that's in range, right? So in this one, it's like we just put ourselves in a spot where like we're 6 inches or 7 inches away, right? We're 7 inches away because of that 1 inch threat range, and so maybe we couldn't make it all the way to the deployment in that first round. So we're like, all right, let's just make sure we get as close as we can, and then in this fun example, right? There's two dogs that have 6 wounds, toughness 3, and there's an arbalaster that has 12 wounds and toughness 3. Well, the cave howler rolls 5 dice at 4 strength, and you get a free attack on all of them. And if you need to take a second attack at something, you're more than welcome to do that. But like, there's a real chance in this situation that deployment goes away. Like, it just is, it doesn't exist. That 4/8 damage profile, the arbalaster in this, goodbye. That's not doing anything. The 12-inch possible double move on the dogs, they're not playing in this game. You spent a quad to remove a third of your opponent's models. I give or take whatever kind of fluctuations can happen with it, but it's just so strong.
To know too, if you pin them in the corner like that, you can't move through enemy models. So even if you don't kill them, they're still stuck.
Yep.
So like no matter what, it's either you're killing everything or basically like a pseudo net, just locking them in the corner.
Or, I mean, a real net with this model too, right? This is the one that just says like 4-ups, you don't get to disengage. So if you really need to slow them down, again, if you didn't get the quad, if you only got a triple and you don't want them going anywhere, you can risk it. But yeah, my usual choice is to just roll a quad. That's my preference.
Yeah, but I mean, you mentioned it there, Mike, and I think that's really important to think about too, because maybe you made a triple because you're like, I'm going to Inspiring Presence this round. You had some cool scheme hooked up there, but there's going to be times where, yeah, this Cave Howler can just go. This deployment is not going anywhere. You all stay right here, and being able to have one model notch up 3 other models, it can make a really big difference in how that game progresses. Because you just went, well, you're not going anywhere.
At worst, you're threatening it. And so maybe there's a more important battle going on somewhere else on the board. And now your opponent's like, oh, no, now I have to activate this war or this deployment, something in here, because it's more important to me to keep this on the board long term, right? So there's, again, this is where we say there's a lot of granularity in the more niche abilities and stuff. There's always weird edge cases that are going to come up where something is great. Sometimes you got to rely on the dice for it to be great. But in this instance, using the quad, less dice reliant once you get that quad.
But I think we all want to know what's in the box.
Pete, what's in the box?
What's in the box?
Oh, we got the clawback, of course. MVP. You get 1 Cave Howler. You get 1 Gorger with Great Club that you can also turn into just a regular Gorger with claws, and then you get a Gorger with club or claws, and you should get 2 of those though. Yeah, 2 of those.
It's all preference. What do you want to go after?
Yeah, and you decide.
Look at your locomotor. Yeah.
Right. Do you like the clubs? Do you like the paws? You decide how you want to play them, right? Who wants to talk about allies? Because otherwise,
I think Mike too.
I like bringing friends in. This was when I first saw this warband. Immediately to try to get those numbers up, I was like, oh, how can we make it a little more friendly to the style of game that's usually successful in Warcry. And so, looking at the different options that let us primarily bring more bodies in, but also try to synergize with what we're doing. Looking for Bladeborn options. Cunning Crew is a really neat one. I actually played the Cunning Crew in the Gorgers in TTS League, and I think I came second that month with them. And there was only 6 models, but you can do some really neat stuff. Cunning Crew has some really cheap bodies in there, and you have to bring the leader, but the leader's no slouch either, right? It's not a Gorger, but it also, you got Gorgers still, so that's the nice part, right? They still are Gorgers in the rest of the list. So really, really nice synergy to be able to bring the extra bodies and activations that you really want with these guys. Gobblepalooza have a couple of really, really nice options. Brugit Classic, if you don't know what it is, he has a double that just gives you 3 bonus dice on your next attack action. You just roll 3 more dice. We talked about the Gorger with the Great Club. Okay, I didn't even bless him or anything like that to give him an extra attack. He's rolling 5 dice at you. It's strength 6, 4/8 damage. Okay, all right, this will be fun. Just really, really good. And again, kind of synergizes if you really want to try to pump damage out. Use the Brugit, and then you can use that triple. That's when that triple is probably its most effective, when you're rolling those 5 dice from the Gorger to make those crits on a 5. So the Boggle Eye is really nice because it can slow things down. So again, we want to be picking our fights here with a lot of intentionality, and the Boggle Eye has the chance to make sure that the thing we don't want to fight right now can't fight us right now. Yeah. Just say, no, you sit there for a minute. We'll be with you in a moment, sir. But yeah, just really, really helpful. And again, another cheap extra body to get out there. Some thoughts are you could bring something bigger into this. You could bring a gut lord. You could bring a tyrant, something like that. Something that's maybe more reliable and can last a little bit longer, and then you can try to fill it in with some little bodies. It's not necessary, but like if it build to your heart's content, however you want to play it. And then allies, blessings are absolutely allies for this list. They love it. If you can pump toughness up to 4, you're living way longer. Again, if you pump those,
I just give them more wounds, +4 wounds.
yeah, 39 wound clawback pumping around the board. And then some of the other stuff here, just the play style is very cyclical. Most turns you're going to be doing something very similar to what the last turn was and the turn before that. But you got to look for those edge cases where you find an outlier and like, oh, here's a funky little turn that I wasn't expecting to need to do something different, but here it is. But they can get kind of tiresome if you keep playing them over and over again. But unless you like rolling dice, and then they're great forever. But yeah, just note that if you're looking for a new warband, they are going to be doing a lot of the same stuff over and over again. If you like painting, like Kyle said, feet or just regular skin, if you like getting a lot of, if you enjoy painting skin, it's 5 models that are 90% skin. It's a great fast painting project. Big models are usually easier to paint. There's not a ton of really finicky details. Just go nuts, have fun with it. Kyle, you got a painting thing to add?
No, I mean, it's 5 models, right? So 5 models, you can get them on the tabletop in a day. It's only 5 boys. That's it. They
Yeah.
take really, really
Easy
well to
wins.
dry brushing because they have like big, strong muscles that actually sink in deep. So with dry brushing, it's so nice on these. Plus that dusty look fits the theme. It really does. So
Yeah, they're dirty. They shouldn't be nice and pristine.
Yeah.
It should be gross.
right.
What is a bath?
Right. Clean gorgers would be fun too. But that's what I was saying before too, right? They're really good for learning the core mechanics of the game in a way that like really channels you into understanding what you're doing and why you're doing it and when you should be doing it, because the mistakes are very evident, but also you can usually see every single thing that you can be doing in a turn. So you can make that judgment on what should we be doing? What do I want to do? One of the fun wish list things that I have for these guys, I hope they pop up at some point. The little tiny, it'd be great if they could have little things added into the warband, just so we can have some more bodies and more chaff. But the little Gribblies that came on King Broad, the little red dudes, just I wish we could get some more of those. Love them, they're super fun. And then just a really spicy ally that I didn't put above is bring Dagok in. He has a quad that if he gets a kill, you get the value of the wild dice. And guess what? Everybody's charging the next turn. If you can get a whole bunch of extra wild dice, go absolutely nuts. Win that wild dice lottery and just have them all falling out of the machine for you.
My one last remark here is just if you're new to the game, this team is great. As Mike said, it's a great team to learn. It's hard to go wrong. It's hard to make a mistake when your entire game plan is to run in their face and just smash. So don't be afraid to do that. But any last closing remarks, Pete?
Just going off of this real quick is just you'll become a better player playing this warband, I think, honestly. It's a really fun play style. You will have a good time, and removing models is always fun. But yeah, just have fun with this warband. It's a fun warband to play. Enjoy it, and hopefully some of these tips helped you guys out.
Yeah, it's low bar of entry, but very high skill cap. And you know what else has high skill cap? Those that like and subscribe our video. So once again, please be a hero. Don't be a chaff. If you like the information we just shove down your throat like these Mawpack boys, please just put comments down below. Let us know if you want to be included for future videos for your painting stuff. If you want to see a warband coming up in the future, let us know. Besides from that, my name's Kyle.
I'm Mike.
I'm Peter.
And signing off.
See ya.